Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It's myself, Keith here from Come On the Hoop Celtic, and I have Gary here from a Celtic appreciation page on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. Has his own channel as well on YouTube. So, International Week, we have loads to talk about. Loads to talk about Celtic wise, rumours, tick allocation, disputes, and previous games that they're playing recently, and the games that are coming up, the tough month of October ahead. Two big trips ahead, guys, in the league, Easter Road and Fair Park. How do you feel going into October?
Well, obviously, two teams that really started well in the league a lot better than us when you look at it. I think Motherwell away is always kind of hit or miss. It's you either go there and demolish them, or you go there and struggle. The way we're playing, I'm no too confident. I didn't see the full of the game on Sunday, but I did see the highlights, and I thought it was a game of two halves really. So we need to be a lot better overall for the 90 minutes, especially firstly for third part next week. If we're going to get the 3 points and try and start kicking on in the league, try and get a run of consecutive wins together, kind of thing. Because there's no easy games, especially if you're home. But as you say, we got the hoodoo off our back on Sunday. And to be fair, I didn't actually realise that we'd got the hoodoo off our back. I was just so glad that we won that I forgot that was our first away win in the league since Valentine's Day.
I know it's been a long time to finally get over it. It's embarrassing. It's quite embarrassing for a club like our standards. I know we went through a shitstorm last year where obviously Kenty took over from Lennon and stuff for the rest of the season, but like Sunday was a game where if we lost at a drop points, a lot of fans would have come out and started saying Ange this and Ange that. And, there was that kind of bit of relief, you could see with the fans up in Pataudry, they're all singing, this is the day we win away. But it was like Beaton done well. I thought Beaton played really well in there. He scored. McGregor was all right, Turnbull wasn't bad. Obviously, his assist was nice. Good to see Kyogo back on the score sheet again.
Yeah.
Like, this is a lad that put himself at like a personal goal of 15, 16 goals for Celtic this season when he signed. I could see that. I can see him hitting the 20, to be honest with you. I know it's a bold statement, but 20 and all.
No, if he stays fit, I can see that, yeah.
Definitely. But like the goal we gave away, I know young Montgomery's, he could have got up to it and it's down to height and stuff like that. But Joe Hart kept us in the game.
Well, the thing is, Joe Hart's been a breath of fresh air for us, to be honest, since he's come in. He did look shaky, to be honest, against Aberdeen. I thought he got away with a lot. When you look 100%. At Ramirez's header, he kind of palmed onto the bar. I think it was Johnny Hayes' shot later on that he done well to get down and get a glove to it, but
it was a real Fraser Foster. It was a real Fraser Foster save, wasn't it?
He's palming it straight out, and obviously Carter Vickers tidies up. But just talking about the goal there, Lewis Ferguson's goal. Obviously, Ferguson, we've talked before that he's a player that I'd love to see at Celtic. I think we should have really brought him in. But why Adam Montgomery is on the post, I have no idea. I think it might be the smallest Celtic player on the team. Whether that was set up,
to be honest, well, like height wise, I think it was just probably stupid zonal malarkey as well to it.
Whether it was set up that he was going to go in the post to defend corners, I don't know. But the fact that he's out jumped, is it Beaton out jumped, I think, and obviously Montgomery's on the line. Now, if you've got that the other way about, yeah, Montgomery could potentially get out jumped, but Beaton clears that off the line. That's the difference.
Look, most of the positive thing from that goal, I know it sounds crazy, is we learned from it. We learned not to put him there because it could have been a bigger profile game, especially in Europe. Look, we got there. Jota got the goal. He made it up for it. Adam made up for it. Got the assist, and you can see it. Like it does. It clearly doesn't work. Ange is probably copping onto it that the likes of Rogic and Turnbull cannot play together.
Yeah,
it's just what's the point? Like, we don't have enough options on the bench to have a plan B. And you want to discuss this tonight. Do we have a plan B going forward against teams, or is it just a case that we go out and play the same formation all the time?
I think it's tough because, you know, when you look at it early in the season and you're demolishing teams like Dundee and St Mirren at home, 6-0, playing a beautiful brand of football, gets the fans up off their seats, gets them excited. But I think it's been difficult because of injuries. You know, a lot of injuries to big players. Missing Kyogo there for a few weeks was brutal. It was absolutely brutal for us, and it told, kind of thing. But
killed us more that he was on the sidelines and he was at all the games, and
yeah, I
you
think
could
that was
see that he
worse.
lost the club already, like, and it's cracking.
Do you know what I love the wee guy because he's so infectious. His personality is so infectious, and when you look at him, I think it was, you know, the cheerleading against the ref before the Raith Rovers game. It was, you know,
Cheerleading.
it was given the, you know, he's given the team a wee G up before the game. That was great to see, and then he's picking up, I think he was picking up rubbish on his way off the
That was a
park on
Leverkusen
Thursday
game.
night.
Yeah.
He'd done it at Pittodrie. On Sunday, he picked up the bottles to throw off to the side of the park. It just seems like a really good guy all round and a good guy to have in the dressing room. But in terms of plan B, I don't see us having a plan B. I think obviously we need to get players back for injury and all the rest of it, and then hopefully get a run of games where we start playing that style of football again, that exciting style of football. But you need to have a plan B if you get injuries, if you get suspensions. You definitely need to have a plan B. Ange doesn't seem to have that, but he seems to be kind of sticking with it, and the players seem to be backing him. Callum McGregor, Tony Ralston, last week came out and backed the style of football that we're playing. So it looks like we're going to be stuck with it for the time being, at least.
Look, it's going to work on some teams. He does, like, at the end of the day, maybe you realise that, like, the likes of Sorrow, his discipline record shocking. You know, like, he's only that far away, like that close away from getting sent off in some games, and it's this case that McCarthy's not up to the pace just yet. I've a bit of faith that McCarthy will be fit. Probably January. I know that's not good enough for Celtic fans because we are lacking that department, but I'm sure Ange has eyes on the defensive midfielder. Could be someone in the J League, could be someone in the A League, it might be someone somewhere else. But back to Sunday, you could see with the new boys, the likes of Yote, Kyogo, Joe Hart, they knew how important that win was. They could see that the fans were absolutely static.
Yeah, I seen Joe Hart really pumped up after the game. He seemed to love that kind of the connection between the fans and the team. And, you know, I think he's just loving his football up here, to be honest. I mean, I was talking to somebody during the week there that we've played 2 Europa League games, conceded 8 goals, and yet Joe Hart has probably been one of the standout players for Celtic in those 2 games, shouting the saves that he has made. He's kind of been faultless for the majority of the goals as well. So it's cheap goals that we're losing week in, week out, and we need to cut that out.
Before I go on to this question, folks, if you could press the share button, there's a share button there on YouTube. Press that share button and give it a share on Snapchat or to WhatsApp to the boys. Anyway, podcast be on for about 40 minutes, so we'll be covering loads of questions from you. What do you think of that question from Kenny there?
So again, played with second half. Yeah, do you know what? I don't know if we stuck with it because, as I said, I didn't see the full game, so you know, I can't really answer that. But in terms of what I did see, it was definitely we controlled the first half. Should have been out of sight. Jota, I think, was unlucky with the goal that was disallowed for a push in the back. And I know Celtic fans will point the blame at Bobby Madden, but I think there probably was just
his referee is shocking, though. We'll move on to that in a few minutes.
It was, but I think there was enough in the kind of in the foul. I think there was enough hands in the back for it to be given as a foul. But as I say, we should have been out of sight in the first half. Fell apart in the second half, but you know we dug in, and that was good to see that we pushed on and got the winner, and it showed what it meant. I don't really get the Kyogo booing. I don't know. I know Calvin Ramsey was screaming over Kyogo a foul. So I don't really know what the booing was for, but if it was because he went down and didn't go off the park, I don't know. But
Some finish, the chest into the goal.
Do you know what? I've seen it back and I'm like, why did he not stick his head on it? But listen, they all count.
It makes it better, doesn't it?
It does. He probably felt maybe if he sticks his head on it and misses it, maybe he felt as if he could cushion it better with his chest kind of thing. But the wee man is
I need to see more of this Ramsey guy. I need to see more of this Ramsey guy before I can make judgment on it. Like, I've only seen him this game, to be honest, folks. I can't really put judgment on it. But is this the answer for left back? This Ramsey, where does he even play?
No. I'll be honest, I don't actually know.
Where does he play, folks? Literally, you're trying to get on day to day.
I know he's no long went to Aberdeen, I think, but he might have went on loan. I think he's on loan for
Newcastle lad as well. Longstaff, was that the guy that used to play for Newcastle?
Longstaff that plays for Newcastle.
He's a Celtic fan, isn't he?
I think so. I think either
pictures of him back in the day with the NTL jersey.
I think one or both of them is. But in terms of Ramsey, no for me the answer.
Right back. We don't need another right back. We have Jovanovic and Ralston there at the moment, folks. I know it's a good option. I can understand where he's coming from, but we don't. I know we're looking at a domestic right back. As are saying, I think Ralston is getting better and better. You could see that his game has improved. Like, even being aware of the ball, like decisions, even in like the last 10, 15 minutes of the game, he was on it. But look, it was a big win in Batodry. It's been coming. You see Ange at the end. Thought he was going to do the Ronnie Doyle. So close doing the Ronnie Doyle.
No, it was great to see. I was actually quite angry. I was watching the highlights from Sports Scene, and I don't even know why, but it was just annoyed me because obviously they played the Rangers Hibs game first, watched the highlights, and now obviously Rangers have been in a dispute with everybody in their granny recently because they just seem to think that they are the club to, nobody messes with them, and they are the be-all and end-all of Scottish football and they run Scottish football. That's not the case. They've been in a dispute with the BBC for I don't know how long. It seems like years. And yet the BBC showed, they didn't show an over-exaggerated amount of highlights, but they showed Gerrard at the end of the game, Patterson pumped up going into the crowd, Gerrard running about the park celebrating like he'd won the league. And I just kind of thought then they showed you, obviously, Celtic highlights. They showed you the Celtic highlights, and then it was like Jota scored, and then that was it. It kind of showed you in the aftermath when the pundits were talking the celebration for Big Ange. But I just thought it was a wee bit, why you bound down to them. That's the thing. That was what annoyed me. But no, in terms of Ange knows that's a massive win.
Look, you could see it towards before we got that goal. You could see the pressure, and even to be honest, I feel sorry for Stephen Glass. I think Stephen Glass is on the verge of losing his job.
Yeah. I've not seen a lot of Aberdeen this season, but I definitely think they're better than what they're showing. I think a lot of
teams steps in.
A lot of teams are better than what they're showing in that league. They've just had a bad start to the season, us included.
People are saying about an ugly win. I completely agree with you, Ian. Okay, there's going to be loads of ugly wins this season. At the end of the day, it's 3 points.
Listen, sometimes you need that, as Ian says, winning ugly. It was beautiful. Sometimes that's the best wins, that when you look over the course of a season. It's not the 6-0s you always remember. It's do you remember when we scored in the last minute against such and such? It's the kind of games where you go, that's a game that won us the league.
Goal against Dundee United a few years back, was it? Yeah, the fourth season, like that little tap in, like that was a St Mirren, or he done against St Mirren and Dundee, didn't he?
St Mirren and Dundee United,
same type of goal.
And Bruni against Kilmarnock and things like that. Do you know what I mean? Like Bruni at Hamilton, things like that. They're the games that you look back on over a season and go, that's potentially the games that's won us the league.
Right. I realistically, do you think Scott Brown will last a full season Aberdeen if Stephen Glass gets the boot?
Well, it depends on who comes in. Whether or not Scott Brown takes over and becomes an interim boss, I don't know. I'd imagine he'll have a lot of the respect of the boys in the dressing room. So it might be a possibility that he might step in, might do a better job, might do a David Martindale, come in the way he did at Livingston and, turn the club around kind of thing. So possibly, but it depends on who comes in. If it's somebody that doesn't know Bruni, possibly he might know. He'll see the season out, but he'll know. He'll probably not stay much longer.
Neil Lennon, next Aberdeen manager.
That'd be interesting.
Stranger things in football. Derek McInnes goes back there.
Aye. No, I don't think Derek McInnes will go back there. I really don't see Neil Lennon being up there either, to be honest.
Enough sheep talk. We move on from anyway. Right. We obviously had a good performance against Leverkusen in the first half an hour, and then we just went to the absolute dogs. A lot of people were putting the finger on Turnbull. I think it's very harsh that people were criticising Turnbull. Like, fair enough, he didn't show up, but it's a game that we're never going to win that game. Let's be honest. But Leverkusen are second in Bundesliga. They're flying. They're absolutely flying. They have a cracking team there. They have a good manager, and they're going to be competing with Bayern Munich for the Bundesliga.
I'll be honest, I had a feeling. I said to everybody that I felt it was after. I think it was after the Dundee United game, believe it or not, that I turned around and says to everybody, we could turn Leverkusen over on Thursday. I just had a feeling that it was going to be one of these special nights, and to be honest, turned up at the ground. The atmosphere was the best I have seen in a long, long time. The atmosphere was electric, and I felt for the fans because the fans gave it massive for 90 minutes. They gave everything for 90 minutes. And
yeah, but the fans are amazing. But it's about getting the win, guys. It's
No, but that's what I'm saying. I felt sorry for the fans because
it was annoying. But it was really annoying though that you got people. But people were writing us off, like, going into the game, like, we're going to get hammered 5 or 6-0. I'm like, why the fuck are you going to the game then? Why are you going to the game if you're going to you think you're going to get scalped?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I travelled
for the atmosphere. You don't believe in that we're going to do it.
I travelled to a game thinking this could be one of the nights, one of the famous old nights where you get a result against all the odds kind of thing. And I genuinely did believe that. First 10, 15 minutes, Kyogo with 2 chances. I mean, we get away with one, obviously, Ilario.
If that was Kyogo 3 or 4 weeks ago, would he have scored it with more sharpness?
Possibly, but I just think he was unlucky. I think he could have probably took it first time. As I say, I was up the other end of the ground, so I couldn't really see it properly. But I thought he could have maybe took it earlier rather than round the keeper. But it was unlucky a couple of times. As I say, we get away with one. Ilario scores for Leverkusen early on, and it gets ruled out for offside. I do not agree with the booing of Jeremy Frimpong. I don't get. Please somebody tell me why the fans were booing Jeremy Frimpong all night. I don't get it.
We made a mint off selling him.
maybe it was a trying to put him off his game kind of tactic. I don't know. But I thought it was bang out the order. I thought the wee man had a great game, and he handled himself really well. Hart had a great game, but is no as much. The man of the match for me was the keeper, Radaki or something.
Some cracking saves he pulled off.
Especially second half, right in the top corner.
Right. I'm going to think of the worst scenario here, folks. I know we don't want to go down, but I need to put this out here. If Ange was to go tomorrow, even though I don't want Ange to go, I love Ange. I back an Ange. I've came out and said it many times. I think Ange needs the full season, regardless where the F we finish in this table. I know it sounds crazy, but people are looking saying Ange is not doing this, Ange is not doing that. So if Ange walks out tomorrow, who's going to come in? Who's going to come in and take the Celtic job? People are not taking that far ahead.
Yeah, I think it's ludicrous that anybody's saying Ange has to go. He has
a 1 year rolling contract. Give the man the full season. Let him implement his football. Let him bring a few players in.
I think he needs 3 windows.
3 windows. A few vloggers have said 3 windows, and I think he's going to raid the J League. I think he's going to absolutely raid it. You probably get players for a little to nothing as well. But there has to be Deadwood gone as well.
Yeah, 100%. For me, Soro and Beaton need to go for a start. Barkas needs to either go out and loan. I think Bain will stay there as a backup. I think he's an alright backup for the domestic season. For me, Barkas needs to go out and loan and try and get some game time. you go Sorrow for me just comes on, and as you say earlier, he tries to get booked. It reminds me of Chick Toyota in his day. Do you know what I mean? Like, he seems to be happier when he gets cautioned by the referee. He seems to fly about the park. His passing's terrible. I think he really needs to improve on that. So, for me, definitely Beaton, Sorrow, and Barkas at the very least. But he needs 3 windows, Ange, in my opinion, and I think I heard John Hartson tonight saying on Go Radio that the Celtic board should come out with a statement and back Ange and just let the fans know. Just put this whole kind of Ange is under pressure to bed. Just to say that we still back him. We still think, we're in transition. We're trying to rebuild.
It's the press. Like, at the end of the day, he knew he was signing up for a big profile job.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's always the man to win your Celtic manager. But it's going to take time. Look, we're only 6 points off Rangers. 6 points. We're going to play Motherwell. We're going to play Hibs. We have St. Johnstone to play this month. We have Werner Bartosz, which I'd be at, folks. I'm actually going to a game. Getting off me Dublin so to come over.
It's a shame it probably won't be a full house, to be honest.
Doesn't matter, the Keats there, and that's the main thing.
You'll make enough noise for everybody.
That's it. But now you need to put it to bed, guys. As I said, I think it's a smaller, it's a minority of fans. Do
you think there needs to be a statement for the board?
But the board shouldn't have to do a statement, to be honest.
I don't think so. I don't think they need to do a statement. I think there's enough fans that realise what's happening.
If it falls if we were shite at the end of the season and we finish second place by 10, 15 points behind who it is, could be Hearts, could be Hibs, that's when the board come out and say, I just think the man needs a full season. He needs a bit of time. I think there's a lot of pressure on him, and I think that's down to the British game in an aspect. You hear them in the press conferences. That real one, I can't even say, the one that always sounds cranky, that asks them the questions.
Is it Luke Shanley?
Is it Luke Shanley? It could be Luke Shanley.
It
sounds different though in the press conferences when he's doing the pre-match ones.
Because it's all done from their offices. It's no. The press, obviously, on this at the press conference, it's all done by Zooms and Skypes and that kind of thing.
Managers need time, and we've had a bad doses, and hopefully this momentum of going in and beating Aberdeen will go into the international break. As Ange turned around said, no players come back to this club if they're injured on international duty.
It's I know it's crazy. Like, obviously, we need to get Giakoumakis, we need to get this sorted. Whatever the problem is, we need to get it sorted.
Jamesy is going to be crucial for us.
Definitely. We need to get these players back as soon as possible.
Here's a random one for you.
Julian as well.
Here's a random one for you. Jamesy comes back full fitness. You play Abada in the middle, the back, behind the striker with Giakoumakis or Kyogo, and then stick Jota on the left.
I think you possibly could. I know you can play Forrest inside that position as well, but for me, it's something you could definitely try. I was actually thinking, what is their full strength team when everybody's back? And it's not kicking the arsehole for that, to be fair. I think definitely, because it's unfair, I think, to say if James Forrest is back and he's fit, that he doesn't get in ahead of Abada, because obviously he's been there longer than Abada, and Abada is a talented player, but Abada kind of falls in and out of form, I think, and maybe it's just missing that link up with Kyogo. I don't know. He seems to buzz off playing with him rather than playing without him, kind of thing. But definitely, I can't comment on Giakoumakis. I was already gone by the time he came on Thursday night, to be honest. I didn't see the point in sitting there at 3-0 down.
How do you think what's going to happen with Alvin Yeti? Do you think Alvin Yeti be going, and you think it's a case that we don't have many striking options with keep?
No, Yeti's not going anywhere. As far as I'm concerned, we cannot let a Yeti go out the door. Even if Giakoumakis comes in and hits the ground running and starts banging in goals. I know potentially you've got Kyogo and then Giakoumakis, but no, for me, I still think you need a Yeti in there as backup kind of thing.
I think Turnbull will come good. I think Turnbull, obviously, he has experience now of having that little blunder. But look at his cross the other day has been good. Like, as I said on my channel many times, you can't criticise him just for that one
No,
mistake. He's done so much good.
He's a player that I really like, and he's a player that I think
he's a future captain. I'm telling you.
Nah, not for me. But I just think, listen, he got caught in between two minds. And Thursday night, I think he seen a wee bit of space and thought, I don't know whether he thought, I'll let this run into play, or whether he'll play it back to Hart. And he got caught in two minds, kicked the ground, and obviously let them in. It was two cheap goals that we conceded. I know the penalty was debatable as well. It's just fine margins going against you. If you can cut the cheap goals that they were losing, and I know he had a great assist for Kyogo on Sunday, but for me, he really, really needs to pull his finger out and improve. I don't think there's many midfielders in that team in the last month or so that have really.
It just annoys me, guys, that these two boys, when they're playing, they just try to literally drag the ball into the box and take it on themselves sometimes. Test the keeper. They have it in them.
Turnbull especially. Turnbull has got that in him.
Rodgers has it in him. You seen him, you know. He was like, it annoys me. Look, a majority of Celtic fans have realised like Turnbull and Rodgers cannot play together. It just doesn't work out. You can't. Rodgers doesn't do the sweeping back, coming back and tracking. You know, he doesn't have the full legs just yet after 90 minutes. He's getting
the problem there is we don't have enough players to even fill the bench some weeks. You know, it's very, very weak benches. And then you're saying to yourself, you don't have Turnbull and Rogic in the same team. Who replaces him? Because for me, McCarthy isn't fit yet. Soros shouldn't be anywhere near that team. I'm not even sure who else you've got in that.
Well, it's annoying. Like there's players that like.
Is Moffat a midfielder? Is he a striker?
More of a striker. The likes of O'Reilly that signed from Sheffield Wednesday. You haven't seen much of him.
Yeah.
You haven't seen Shaw that we signed. You know, Scales, we've seen a bit of him against Wraith Rovers. Like, it's like you're starting to say to yourself, are they Ange signings? Are the actual Ange signings? Like, we all know Kyogo's Ange signing. Maybe Abada is, but
I don't think Liam Scales is an Ange signing. I don't think McCarthy's an Ange signing.
I agree with you. I think it was a Dermot Desmond signing.
But in terms of that, I think for me going forward now, I know Taylor's been ruled out to November, I think. For some reason, I've heard he's getting a pay rise and a new contract. I do not know what he's done to deserve that. Nothing against the boy, but
he's probably going to be the face of the Christmas ads.
Maybe he's the Christmas elf this year.
I was only saying it earlier on. Get Ange, grow his beard, dye it white, and let him be the Santa.
Oh, what? No, as I say, like I don't know what he's done to kind of deserve that, but at the same time, you know, I think going forward, I think we need to stick Liam Scales in at Motherwell, and you know, I'm not saying play him the full game, but just start to draft him into that team and start.
Motherwell's going to be risky, isn't it? It's going to. I have a feeling the Motherwell game is going to be like the game under Brendan Rodgers, that 4-3 game.
It's known, as far as I'm aware, it's not on the telly. I don't think either Celtic. I don't think Celtic or Rangers is on the telly.
It's a 4 o'clock kickoff, the Motherwell game, I think.
3 o'clock.
Could be wrong, folks. 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock.
I think both of them are 3 o'clock. Rangers at home to Hearts and Celtic away to Motherwell.
Folks, sometimes because my internet is the company that I work for. Their headquarters is in Germany, so everything is always an hour ahead. An hour ahead. So I'm like looking at stuff and I'm like,
but it's as you say, it's a massive, probably a massive couple of weeks. I know them across the city, they've got a massive game coming up against Hearts, the league leaders. Well, they were the league leaders, but I think judging by the level of refereeing, I don't want to kind of jump on it too much.
Do you put Turnbull against Motherwell?
100%. 100%. Because if anybody's going to be trying, it's going to be Turnbull for me. 100%. You put Turnbull
I
in.
want to see the comments. There's 31 years watching. Do you agree with Gaz? You stick Turnbull in against Motherwell against his former club where he made his trades. And we're going to move on. We're going to move on to VAR. We're going to talk about Scottish football and VAR. Now, there's talks of 60 grand of per club implementing VAR. Now, I think the so-called top six in Scotland, you want to call them, are looking at getting VAR in. You look at the likes of the referees not full time in Scottish football, like, you know, what do you call him? Bobby Madden beating all these referees. What's his name? The guy that
Nick
refereed
Walsh.
Clancy.
Aye.
Like, these are all, like, you know, I don't say it's the referee's game. At the end of the day, thinking about paying the likes of Rangers at Ibrox and whenever our boys go down in their penalty box, Bobby Madden has to go up to that screen. Imagine the controversy. Imagine.
But that's the thing, because if that happens, if that situation occurs, you know, and has to go to the screen and he gives it, then VAR must be telling him that that's a penalty. So it cuts out the arguments. There will still be arguments, obviously, don't get me wrong, but you know, it's there to cut out the debate. For me, it's not going to happen. Full stop. It's not going to happen. Whether it comes down to money, for other clubs, maybe the bottom six don't have enough money to throw 60 grand at it. Maybe they'll feel as if, you know, it's not going to benefit them enough. I don't know. But it's going to get blocked somehow. It's going to get thrown out the window somehow. And I really hope it doesn't.
Do you think it's a season of throwing it out there and then see what the smaller clubs actually cough up the money for it?
I mean,
maybe other clubs that haven't taken the back in their mind, maybe we could go down that road again where it's lockdown fixtures.
Aye, I mean, potentially, as I say, I just don't see, maybe like said, the clubs that's down there at the bottom, like Livingston, maybe Ross County and Dundee and all the rest of it, maybe they think they won't benefit from it, or maybe that they'll think we might get decisions against Celtic.
You're talking
about
the bottom, guys. You're talking about relegation battle here. It could be more crucial to them as much as winning a title.
No. That's what I mean. Like, maybe they'll feel that when they come to play the top six, and especially Celtic and Rangers, that, you know, that they might actually start getting decisions that they wouldn't normally get. You know, them going to Celtic Park or Ibrox, especially. You know,
guys, you're gonna like that one. Cheers, Rory, for that comment.
No harm. VAR won't make a difference. The VAR panel will be Dallas and Co. Mike McCurry, there's a flashback. No, listen, I hate the fact that we're saying week in, week out, oh, that's a shocking decision, that's a terrible decision. You know, you've seen loads of them this season, and we've all kind of warned Ange. There was plenty of warnings for Ange that this was going to happen, especially this season. But the fact that I want to see is beating the referees as well as beating the teams in the league. Go out, smash teams into the ground, win the game, and then if you get bad decisions,
games of football, you have to win, guys. I don't care if it's 1-0 or it's. I just want to see us moving up that table and be competing.
We seem to have been sixth for about, I don't know, about a month and a half or something, since the start of the season, probably. It's so infuriating, because we know there's bad decisions. We know there's bad refereeing. We saw a bad refereeing discipline Ibrox on Sunday. You know, when he sent Ryan Porteous off. For me, I can see. It
wasn't a sending off.
No, it's not a sending off, but you can see for a certain angle, I think, behind the goals, it looks like a mad lunge. I think he kind of comes
James
over the
Milner
top
should
of
have
the
been
ball.
sent off for Liverpool the other day. That was
100%.
You know?
And why VAR's no intervened there, I don't know. But in terms of like, I can see why it was given, but for the referee's angle, he's not looking at it for behind the goals. He's looking at it straight on. So that's a shocking decision for Nick Walsh. But there's been plenty of decisions that went against us. My point is, I want to see us smashing teams off the park, and then we can sit here after the game and say, brilliant performance, brilliant win, but what about that decision? No to get a penalty early on and such, and you can talk about it and say, but it's not going to change it. The referees are still going to.
If they're not going to get VAR, then I just think they need to take the officials out of Scotland and just bring in outside officials. Simple as that.
It's not going to happen. We've already had it. We had it for 2 weeks, a few years ago. We got French referees in and all the rest of it. I think they still made bad decisions for the 2 weeks. It doesn't really matter.
Give them a full-time contract then, and let them take off their blue shorts under them jerseys.
Aye, I don't see that happening because the SFA are not going to allow it. They're not going to allow an attack on their own referees, and they're not going to allow. Well, you'd obviously have to pay to bring these guys over. To potentially house them for a whole season.
Marvin Comber got away with it for 3 years. I'm sure it's not that bad.
He wasn't dealing with the SFA. But I mean, no, it's not going to happen. I don't think VAR is going to happen. I'd love to see it. I would love to see it come in because I think it would show the referees up
Sky Sports
for how bad
should pump the money into it though. If they're the leader of the Scottish game, showing the podcast of the Scottish game, if Sky Sports and the likes of Premier Sports got together and said, "Look, let's bring in VAR into this," I think I'd love it to be brought in. Now, look, it killed the goal.
But it's not up
to them. Side of it.
It's not up to them to bring it in. It's not up to them to fund it. It's up to the clubs in the Scottish League, and I don't think there's enough money in the Scottish League, especially in the bottom 6 teams, for them to throw away 60 grand on something that might not benefit them over a season.
Yeah. Right, well, I think a few people are on the 50-50 fence, but it is a thing that we're probably going to talk about more over the season. We're going to talk about a thing that was brought out today. Now, this is a sticky one because I can see the way this is going to go, and I'm going to give my opinion. Some people will disagree, and some people will disagree with Gaz's opinion. We have Rangers in January at home. Now, it could be a case we might go on a big run, get back into this. The league is not over. The people that are in their head saying the league was lost in September want to get a grip to themselves, because there was people after that Dundee game saying the league is done and Ange is done, and I could not believe what I was seeing on Twitter. And they're plastic fans. I'm sorry, you back your team for the full race, and that's it. No. It falls over. It doesn't mean that the horse is done for the whole race. I might finish a third or fourth and jet them. So back the Ange horse. Do we give them some sort of allocation, their full allocation back, or we don't give them nothing back for this fixture?
We'll start between a rock and a hard place. We were obviously discussing off air, and I think I personally would love to see both clubs agree to bring back the full 7,000 or 10,000 allocation, and it's got to be, for me, it's got to be contracted that it can't be taken away again for any particular reason. Even for cup games, you've got to have it on contract. It's got to be legally binding, and that's it done. And then that's it sorted. And then there can't be any, "Oh no, we're not giving you any tickets," kind of thing. For me, I'd love to see the full allocation come back because it takes away for the atmosphere. It's the best derby game in the world.
Let's be honest, folks. Before people are saying no, nothing. How did it feel watching that game a few weeks ago or a couple of weeks ago when they're singing and there's not one Celtic fan in that crowd? And I turned around and said to the bar owner, "Because you might as well just put the Rebs or put the Celtic songs on. There's no point in listening to this commentary because you're listening to that filth in the background as well." We need some sort of capacity back. We could start off this season with a phase that we get 800 or 2,000 back, and we give them the same amount, or even less, or even more. It depends, because we have a bigger stadium you look at. But Gaz made a point to me earlier on, off air. What about your season ticket holders? But the season ticket holders want to know it as well. They knew before all this happened that their allocation was going to be gone.
But that's the thing.
That's when Rangers were live.
That's the difference. There's a difference paying your money for a season book at the start of the season and knowing if your seat is in that kind of area of the 10,000 or so, that you maybe need to pay extra for your ticket for the Rangers game or whatever. But for me, you're saying start off with 700 or 1,000 or 2,000. No, get it in contract and get the full allocation back. And then that way there can't be any pulling the rug for under your feet, because as I say, I was talking about the season ticket holders being upset if we give Rangers a full allocation in January and then they turn around and say, "We're still not getting you any tickets." and then the fans are like, why did you give them tickets? And so it's a very much rock and a hard place situation, and I don't envy Celtic, but somebody has to be the bigger man here, and I hope it's I was going to say Don Mackay, but I hope it's whoever's in charge at Celtic. I hope it's whoever's in charge of Celtic at the time.
Peter Lawwell behind the scenes, I'll tell
you. Whoever the CEO is, or whether it's Dermot Desmond, somebody needs to go to Stuart Robertson at Rangers and say, listen, we want to sort this out. Let's get it sorted out. Let's get it done in writing. Because it's the best derby game in the world. Nobody can touch it. And I mean, I saw something like the Sky Sports done a poll, and the best derby game in England was Crystal Palace Brighton. I'm saying, is that even a derby for a start? Do you know what I mean? Like, come on.
It's not derby. That's
crazy.
That's South London, Tim, right?
That was crazy to hear that. So, for me, it's the best derby game in the world, and to take the fans away, to take the one set of fans away from it, is criminal. It's absolutely criminal, and I think we need to get the fans back.
But that was Rangers that started this malarkey. Like when Gerrard came in, they just wanted to do that.
Well, yeah, they took the 10,000 away because they were fed up of us going to Ibrox, and they said it was for their fans, but it was because we kept going and smashing them at Ibrox and celebrating in front of them. That's why they took it away. This whole thing where they didn't let any Celtic fans into Ibrox earlier this season, that was, from what I'm hearing, that was Celtic's fault because they said they couldn't confirm that they could give Rangers fans any tickets because of the red zone.
They wouldn't even let Chris Sutton in, for God's sake, because he's a security hazard.
Because of the red zone that we had in place at Celtic Park, that was the reason that Celtic gave. So I think Rangers kind of pulled the rug for our feet and says, well, listen, you're not getting the tickets. Then so, listen, it's just one of the things. It's Celtic supposedly couldn't confirm that they could give them any tickets, so I don't know.
It looks like on the comments, what I'm reading here, that no one agrees with us. They just like, you know what, don't let them back near Air Paradise. They don't deserve.
I don't agree with that at all. But it's a game of opinions, Jensen.
That's it. It's a game of opinions, and I appreciate everyone's opinion here. At the end of the day, I would like to see the allocation brought back on both sides, because it'll make the fixture tasty. It'll make it tasty. You know, exactly. We need to see it. We need to see our green and white scarves in that ship here. We need to see them tricolours up. We need to see their boys recording behind the goal, singing everything. We need that back. And when we score against them, our boys are in there. Oh, God, remember the days when Samaras jumped into the crowd and that guy put the paddy hat on? That's the stuff we miss. And everybody's like, don't give them, don't give this, that. Like, folks, we need them moments. It's not the same. We haven't won there in age. We haven't won there since September 2019.
Yeah.
We haven't beat that mob since fucking December 2019.
Is it 8 games or something? They've not been beat. I think it's something like
7
wins and a draw.
Forget about the stats. That stat is going to be gone down the rotor when we beat them in January. With fans or no fans, we're going to beat them. And I'm going to say live on YouTube right now, I'm confident that we can turn this around. It's only 6 points. I'm that confident that we can do it. If we can get everybody on board and get our players fully fit and get our strikers in a good position and get our defence sorted, if we get that big Julian back, I'm telling you, we have a chance. We have a chance. Don't write us off.
It is only 6 points, but I do think it would have been
only 6 points. We came back on 12 points before.
It would have been a lot tougher had we dropped points on Sunday. I think it would have been very, very difficult to come back for that.
100%, especially on an international break.
Yeah, with him, and that starts to play in your mind, so that it either makes you stronger or you collapse under the pressure when you come back. So, but I was just delighted that we got the win, despite the fact that they went and won at 3 o'clock at Ibrox. But listen,
you knew they were going to come back, didn't you?
But listen,
well, enough about them.
Aye.
We want to talk about our own team, but look, there's rumours going around that Southampton are looking at Kyogo. Typical Southampton.
I seen a few comments earlier on saying, I hope they get, what was it? I hope they get liquidated, or I hope they go out of business or something, because it just seems like they just reel off the Celtic players, Jane. Like when you look at Virgil van Dijk, Wanyama, Foster, and
I'm going to turn around. I'm going to say a bold point right now. Right, sell Sorrow, get rid of Beaton, and maybe sell Barkas, and you know what you do?
What?
You're bringing your defensive midfielder for 2 seasons, and the big man from Kenya that we once had, he'd be the answer.
Is it?
He's
What age is
Victor
he?
Wanyama. Victor Wanyama. I think the last time I checked on him, I think he was like 29 or something.
He's playing. I think he's playing in America or Canada or something.
He's playing for Montreal Impact, which he went
Aye.
there because Henry was there. Victor Wanyama, defensive midfielder. That's what we need. He'd suit Ange football.
Don't know.
I'm telling you, McGregor front of him, Victor Wanyama, and
I don't think we'd need to pay much for him in terms of, I think he went there on a pretty low wage, a pretty low fee.
He went on a loan deal originally, and then Spurs released him then.
Aye, so I don't think we'd need to pay that much for him, but I definitely agree with getting rid of the Deadwood. I'm not really for.
He's injured at the moment. Look at most of Celtic's injured at the moment. So.
Aye, listen, I'm not really.
Can't be as bad as Mikey Johnson.
I'm not really for bringing ex-players back. The only one I'd probably bring back is Big Fraser. That would be an interesting one, having 2 ex-England internationals.
Folks, I just want to confirm. I've spoke to a couple of close sources to Julian. Julian will be back in the next couple of weeks. So Ange did come out and say as well in his press conferences a couple of weeks ago, post-international break.
Mm-hmm.
So
definitely need him back in that team.
Even a half an hour or something, like give him a half an hour for the first few games, just to get him in the mood. Look, Starfelt has not gelled, and I don't want to be hard on Starfelt, but some people have thrown the words to me, liability. Mm-hmm. I think that's a bit harsh. I just think he hasn't gelled yet. That's the easiest way to say.
But he's kind of playing. He's been playing with the same partnership at the back.
If someone around said to me, F.A. Ambrose's stats is better than his stats.
No, I mean that's harsh, obviously. But listen, for me, Starfelt, especially watching him on Thursday, he seems to be waiting on a mistake. He seems to be waiting on something going wrong. And whether it's confidence or not, I don't know.
We should have signed Sturchenko. I don't know why we didn't go.
Buts and maybes. But listen, I think Starfelt, it's hard to say once he gets his feet under the table, because he's been in that team.
Well, look, I'm sorry, but there's games are coming thick and fast. If you can't settle in, don't play him. Get Welchie back fit. Get Welchie in there,
For me,
I'd even play Dane Murray at this rate,
Right, calm down now. But for me, Stephen Welsh and Carter Vickers would be my partnership until Julian comes back, and then you throw Julian, and then eventually, as you say, after you bring him back, and then Joseph and Scales is a wing backs kind of thing.
Where's Ralston going?
Out the team.
Out the team?
Aye, I still don't think he's good enough. I know he's given 100%. But I still think he's got mistakes in him. I still think he's rash. Still can't cross the ball. Still can't cross the ball for me. I think he's played well in staying in the team. But for me, no.
Ada Correa. We could have got Ada Correa from Groningen. This is the guy that was at Man City's books.
Mm-hmm.
Decent player, Ada Correa. Japanese lad. I could see us going I could see us getting us some Aussie centre back. I just have something about it in the works, and we're gonna get. No, probably some big Greek lad from Panathinaikos or something. Is there anyone in the league centre back that you'd look at and turn around and say, maybe? Constantine?
No, really. To be honest, I don't think there's anybody. No, I can't. Maybe John Suter at best, kind of thing. Hearts.
No. Jesus God, no.
But that's a push. I wouldn't be looking at anybody in the Scottish League, especially as defenders.
I think a lot of fans are getting ahead of themselves here, saying Glasgow derby with Julian. Folks, we need Julian back as soon as possible. We need to get him back. Every game is like a cup final. Stop thinking about Rangers in January, even though
that's what I'm saying. Like January.
Motherwell are on form, folks. Motherwell are on flying form. Who would have thought Motherwell be up there in the table? They're flying along. And then we have Hibs and Easter Road. Hibs are not going to be a walkover. Hibs are hungry this season.
And they'll be hurting after losing at Ibrox if they're playing so well.
Yeah, definitely. And to be honest with you, I think I might have to put on the old Doya Coke face for the 16th against them. We fancy a draw. Fancy them to get a draw there.
What at Ibrox?
Hearts, yeah, get a draw. I think you can get a draw there.
Potentially, if it depends who the referee is, isn't it?
Right, we're gonna go through something I didn't bring up. We're gonna talk about player performances so far. Right, we're gonna rate these players out of 10. So, since Joe Hart came in, his performance up to now, what would you give him out of
10? A strong 8.
I'll go for 8 as well. Anthony Ralston.
7.
I was 7 as well. I had Jovanovic.
Jovanovic, I know I've not seen a hell of a lot of them, but I think he looks a strong 8 or 9. I think he looks comfortable in the ball.
6.
I think he looks really comfortable, and he could be a potential great player for us.
6 so far.
Can play left back as well.
Stop thinking in the future, guys. We're going by performances.
But can play left back as well as right back. Chatting.
Starfelt
4.
4. I'm gonna go 5.
I'm
gonna go for a 5. Cameron Vickers.
Another strong 8, I think.
7. 7. Abada,
7. I think it's safe to say. I think he started off really well, fell away a wee bit, started to come on to a wee bit of form again.
I would go probably a 7 as well. Jota
looks a very good 8 or 9. I'd say 8.
I'd say a 9. I just think he knows what the crack is.
He doesn't look too lightweight as much as I thought.
George
it would have been a bit lightweight.
That's it.
Got to have faith, ain't you? Aye, got to have faith.
James McCarthy.
For what I've seen, 5.
I say 4.
Aye, I don't. Fitness wise, if he's fully fit, then potentially he can be better. But he needs to get fully fit.
I have to put this fella's name in. Sorrow.
Jesus Christ. Is there a number lower than 0?
If we go global 1, we go minus, are we?
I'll not even give him a 0. I'll give him a 1.
I'll give him a 3. I look back to that Michelin game. I thought he was outstanding that game at home. That kind of, I know that's we're looking at overall. The captain.
Do you know what? He's really impressed me this season. And I loved the whole. Try to think who it was against. Was it St Mirren or Dundee? When he gave the team talk. It was St Mirren game, and he gave the huddle, and he done the huddle. He got everybody around, and it got the fans on board straight away. They connected with McGregor even more. So for me, definitely an 8 or 9. 8, I'll go for. I don't think anybody's been a 9. I know who's going to be a 9. And potentially 10.
It's a bit harsh. Just being honest, folks. He's just inconsistent. He's brutal. And Montgomery,
hot and cold. I'm going to go for a 5.
I'm going 6. I think he's done well since he came in. The big games he's done well. Tom Rogic,
a 6.
I think a 7.
I think Rogic started really well, but whether or not we're talking about him and Turnbull can't play in the same team, so maybe that's affected his performance in recent weeks. But yeah, definitely deserves a 6.
What about Welsh?
Welsh again,
have you seen him?
A 6, because I think he's had a few mistakes in him, as well as he's been brilliant for us early on in the season, especially in the European games kind of in qualifiers. But I think definitely a 6. I think he's a solid.
Turnbull.
Again 6, because I just think started off, the hat trick against was it St Mirren? The hat trick against St Mirren, and he was buzzing in that game, and he was flying, and I think he was flying early in the season, and then he's just again like everybody else, he's fell away.
I'm going to give him a 7. I think for a player to get a hat trick in the first few fixtures of the season is pretty good. I'm going to give him a 7.
I'll upgrade him. I'll upgrade him to an 8 when he scores a hat trick next week at Fir Park.
I imagine it'd be more out of Motherwell fans before. Jesus Christ, for a second. Kyogo. Don't say 10.
10 for me.
Is
The
it
wee
that
man.
button? Britain's Got Talent.
Aye. Where's the golden buzzer? Aye. The wee man can. If I pressed the golden buzzer, he'd be picking up the confetti. I'd be. He's not put a foot wrong for me. Absolutely not put a foot wrong for me. Apart from getting injured for Japan, but you know.
I'll give him a 9.
Mm-hmm.
There's always improvement. I think he's fantastic. I love him. I love the energy of him. I love when he does stuff on Instagram and everything. Albany
Yeti. 7. Gonna be kind on him. I think he's blue, hot and cold. Unfortunately more cold, but I think he just, I don't know, maybe just needs a wee bit more service, needs to kind of drop off a wee bit more, pick up the ball. But I think he's really improved since he's been thrown into the team, kind of thing.
I don't even want to give Mikey Johnson a rating because he's always injured. Jesus Christ!
And you know he was still at the club.
Did we sell him, guys? Like we put up a poll and it was like, you know,
I think so. I don't see him. I mean, he's a good option, I suppose, if he's fit to bring off the bench, because you know he'll attack teams, he'll run. I think
he needs to get loaned to the Championship.
Maybe at the English Championship.
No, the Championship in Scotland. That's how I feel about Mikey Johnson.
No chance.
I think he needs to.
Championship in Scotland's not good enough. You can't be dropping players into the Championship in Scotland and expecting them to come back and be Celtic class. I think you potentially get him a Championship at a League One side in England.
Class. It's all about fitness. It's all about getting this lad full fitness of games, and then perhaps looking at him. Ian Henderson. What's the story with him? Like, is he ever going to see a Celtic shorts? He never gets picked.
I don't think he's done a lot wrong, to be honest. It's just obviously whether Postecoglou likes him. I'm not too sure. You know, that I suspect that's why Liam Shaw and Urhoghide aren't in the team, because
there's no point writing these boys, folks.
I don't know why. I don't know why they're sitting on the bench when they're not getting off the bench. You know, you'd as well having them in the reserves.
True, and there's no point in writing Giamakis on like a 10-minute performance. You know, there's nothing really else you can write, because that shows that there's not much depth in the squad. Beaton probably a 5.
4.
Owen Henderson can go to the Celtic shop, use his voucher to buy the Celtic shop.
Aye, it's like boys like, obviously I know Moffat's been playing in the reserves. The
Dane Murray needs a bit of time. I think he needs more time. I think he's.
I mean, I don't know. Obviously he was thrown in at the deep end, and it was. I refuse to criticise him because I think he was thrown in early on in the season, first couple of games, and it wasn't his fault that he was kind of making mistakes. But I think with a bit of game time behind him, he could become a good defender, because he's got height, you know, and I think he could be strong in the air, and that's what we need at the back, kind of thing. But no, I think for the meantime, if we get everybody back, as you say, if Julian's back in a couple of weeks, get him back in with Carter Vickers, and we should be good to go for the rest of the season, hopefully.
Carter Vickers is a player that can bring the ball up and take it up, kind of like what we're kind of doing. That's what we need. We need something like that. You know, what do you think of Patrick Klamala's sly digs at Celtic?
I didn't see his statement. I seen the headline kind of thing. I was saying something about Neil Lennon, some sort of decision for Neil Lennon.
Ryan Christie over.
Aye. I seen he scored obviously last weekend to level the game. But listen, Klamala, between Klamala and Yeti, I would have obviously rather seen Klamala stay, because I thought he had a wee bit more about him. Potentially could have been another Magic Zarafsky. No stereotyping, but just in terms of that kind of player, I think he could have scored that number of goals for us. I don't see a Yeti scoring that many goals. Obviously at the time it was a Yeti and Tony, wasn't it? And it was made a great decision there, didn't we? So, Tony's absolutely ripping up down south.
Yeah, I know. 2 divisions up since the transfer speculation. You'd be playing for Inter Milan next season, the Champions League or something. And there's us like, you know, Jesus, great scouting by Celtic, great scouting. International week, folks. Look, I do was depressed down my head because Ireland are absolutely poison. People ask me, Stephen Kenny the man for the Ireland job? Whoever gets the job, they're not going to change this international team around. They're absolutely poxy. We're playing Azerbaijan this week, and then we have Qatar as well in a friendly. I think they will be. Azerbaijan scrape a 1-0 over there, like the Kazakhstan game a few years back.
Was it a 1-each draw last time? The Azerbaijan, am I right in saying that?
At home, I think. I'm not sure. It was it was getting to the stage where I stopped even watching it. We obviously watched the Portugal game when I was over in Glasgow, and I was crying at the end of it because I thought it was one of the best Irish performances I've seen.
It was a wee bit a robbery kind of thing, Jack, because I thought it was a great performance.
Ronaldo.
That's what he
Scotland,
does.
I don't even know who Scotland even have because I haven't been keeping an eye on their fixtures.
We've got Israel at Hampden on Saturday night, 5:00 kickoff. We win that game. We win that game. I know it's like just Celtic Barcelona, isn't it? We win and we go 4 points clear Israel in second place, and we'll be left with Moldova away and the Faroe Islands away, before finishing to Denmark.
I don't think Scotland had the calibre to do another playoff upset.
It depends on who we go. I was thinking about this, and obviously it's a game at a time, and Israel are a really tough side to play. I think there's going to be as many Celtic players in the Israel team as there will be in the Scotland team, which is ridiculous. I think Abada and Beaton, and obviously you've got
former El Hamid.
So it'll be a tough game, but a full house at Hampden. I'll have my Scotland jersey on.
Which one now, guys?
The lucky one. The lucky one that you gave me the last time. Ali I'm going to say it. I don't really care because it gave me luck the last time. The Ali McCoy's jersey.
So folks, here's a little story. A friend of mine from Belfast.
Just see the numbers drop.
a friend of mine from Belfast sent me a Scotland jersey for the Euros. I said, I'll fucking wear it. And I didn't know what was on the back of it. And it was McCoy's in the back of it. So I decided one Friday evening after work, it was actually for the England game. So to get the iron out, start ironing the name off. I was like, fucking not wearing that bleeding thing. So I was over in Glasgow a couple of weeks ago. 3 weeks ago. I said, guys, I have a little present for you. You take that. I'm not wearing that fucking joint. Seriously.
Well, I wore it for the Austria game, and it brought me some luck. So hopefully wear it on Saturday. It brings me a wee bit more luck. But as I say,
it's just number 9 on it. There's no Sally on it.
It was a 96 jersey.
It's a nice jersey. It's just, what was it, the Euro 96 jersey?
Euro 96, aye. But no, listen, we're playing really well. We've got a fully fit squad to choose from. I think there's a suspension in there for somebody, I can't remember. But listen, if we can win at Hampden, a full Hampden on Saturday, go 4 points clear, got 2 winnable games coming up, and then we'll have the better head-to-head over Austria and Israel.
Scotland will battle in the final hurdle as usual, folks. That's what he's trying to say.
Listen, we might do, but it depends.
I'm just jealous because Ireland are absolute mints.
Listen, I am milking this as much as I can because it might be another 23 years before we get there again.
I'm sick of hearing about this boogie bus. It's over and done with. Get over it. He's had his one fucking tournament. He's absolutely shy. He's got the draw against England. Congratulations, but like Czech Republic, what was the goalkeeper doing?
Oh, crazy! Funnily enough, that Patrick Schick, he's a Leverkusen player. He was on the bench. I think he came off the bench for Leverkusen at Celtic. Panicked when I seen his name a wee bit because he's a cracking player. But no, listen, we bottled it in the Euros somewhat, but we got a good result.
2 games at Hampden. I guarantee you they were away. They would have fucking won.
Aye, 100%. But we got a decent result against England, then potentially could have won the game. But listen, we're in a good place now with Stevie Clark in charge, and hopefully we'll get the win and take it on to the Moldova and Faroes game.
What happens if results go wrong, even though I'm back in Ange to get the full season? The results go wrong. Do Celtic approach Stephen Clark?
No, for me, I don't think he's attack minded enough.
So if you were offered Stevie Clark or Gordon Strachan, who would you take?
Gordon Strachan.
Gordon Strachan.
Mm-hmm. I just don't think Stevie. I'd question Stevie Clarke's substitution sometimes as well.
We don't have many substitutions to pick anyway.
That's true. That's true. But knowing him, he'd probably try and bring in Ollie McBurney or something. Whatever, chatting. So, no, for me, he's no attack minded enough to be Celtic manager. But listen, we're back now.
Okay, we have a nice guy now at the moment, and what I'd recommend, folks, is if you have your critics about Ange, and I had my critics when he first got appointed, watch his documentary. Watch the documentary about him on YouTube. Mm-hmm. It's called Ange. Watch it. It's absolutely class. It shows him how he literally, him and his missus were on the verge of being homeless. He took a job in Greece, didn't work out for him, came back, couldn't get a job anywhere in Australia. Brisbane were doing absolutely shy. Took Brisbane, made Brisbane a power force for 2.5 seasons, 3 seasons he was there, and they went to Melbourne and took the victory job and they done well. Went to Japan, took him 2 seasons. You gotta have a bit of faith in these things. Like at the end of the day, we've got there. Bit of faith. George Michael look like it's all working. We have a Japanese man there. We'll get there. We have good players. The only thing that Celtic is lacking is leaders on that pitch. Leaders. When we get Julian back, it's gone. Imagine we'll have a leader in defence. We'll have a leader in goal. We'll have a leader in midfield. We just need a leader up front.
Yeah, that's that. As you say, you've got to be. It's early on in the season. Still about 29, 30 games or something to go. So listen, you keep going with it, and things will turn around. I'm pretty sure once we get everybody back fit and ready to go. I'm sure we'll start smashing teams again, and then we'll be hopefully laughing at the end of the season.
Do you just think there's a bit of, you could feel out with Ange, there's a bit of kind of like Dom's gone?
It annoys me. It annoys me because I think he's a really nice guy, and obviously what you see is what you get. But when you see him with interviews, especially after the game, especially the Dundee United game, it doesn't seem to show any frustration or show any anger. It seems to be the same tone he speaks in all the times. I thought we played well first half, and we need to take our chances and this and that. Everything just seems to be so flows off
mellow.
His back. You need to. Sometimes you want to see that passion. You see that at Pittodrie when they won. And he went up, and you could see it in his facial features that he knew how much that meant. That pumped him up. He gave a badge and a pump, and that was it. Do you know what I mean?
It's like that uncle. It's like that uncle that sits down in the pub all night at the party, and he just one particular song comes up, and he just stands up for that 10-second fame.
Aberdeen seem to have a good kind of feeling about their managers when they're under pressure. Kind of, Dyla obviously felt it as well.
Brilliant. So I think everybody's on the Ange boat, which is good. I know there's obviously the younger folk that we can't keep every Celtic fan fucking happy, and that's the whole point of it. I want to say a massive shout out to all the Celtic podcasters that are doing a great job. Celtic State of Mind, Juddy Talks, even Irish Mick's doing a great job. Fair play out. The 4 teams, they're doing great. I'm going to meet them next week in Dublin. I'm looking forward to meeting them. Looking forward to meeting the lads. They're going to be over in Dublin. With Gary Ogg and Brian McClare, I'm going to be at it. Everyone's doing well, and most of all, one of the best Celtic YouTube channels, I have to say, Hell 67. Hamish and the boys are doing a great job, phenomenal job with Jackie McNamara. They're all doing great. I have to say, they put the effort in, they put the work in, and if you're on that channel, tell them Keith said they're doing a great job. There's there's loads of them there. The pods, there's many Celtic pods. I don't listen to many of them. I only listen to Hell 67. Celtic State of Mind, obviously. Celtic Fan TV is pretty good. Ryan's good as well. I keep forgetting. There's so many of them. There's no one that's one of them says, jeez, I can't be listening to him. He talks an absolute load of piggery. So so that's it, folks. I hope you all enjoyed the now and a bit. Hopefully me and Gaz will be back next Thursday, because the Friday I'm going to be at that charity event. We'll be back hopefully next Thursday if he's not in work, going into the Motherwell game, and hopefully we don't have any injuries or COVID problems.
Hopefully. As I say, we need to.
I forgot. Big shout out to Jared. Big shout out to Jared. Celtics Down Under. Celtics Down Under. Jared is a phenomenal man. Absolutely phenomenal man. Love Jared. What a man.
lot of respect for him and Gavin, two legends. But a lot of people have different opinions. I think all the podcasts are doing well. At the end of the day, they have the effort to come on and do this for you. You might not agree with their opinions, and that's the whole point of a podcast. Guys have a different output to me on certain things, and that's the way it is, So don't forget to like Gaz's page, folks. Celtic Appreciation on Facebook. He's hoping to get someone random on soon.
I'm still waiting to hear about trying to get Jackie on the page to discuss the book.
Jackie's up to his eyes.
I know. I'm obviously in touch with his management company, so hopefully, if I don't get him, hopefully I can get somebody else that's free in the next few weeks and start.
What about we'll get Marvin Compare on about his experience in Glasgow?
You can start booking in decent guests, kind of thing.
I think Marvin Compare would be a great crack. You might wear the brown suit and all.
Do you know what? It could be like an Effie Ambrose type style guest.
Oh, imagine it! Yeah, sure. I wish I went to that fucking thing the other night. The lads in the hydro. The fucking
that was
open goal.
It was a bit of a shambles, to be honest, outside it. Because they decided to do the spot checks with certain people about the COVID passports. And there was still about 4,000 people outside when the show was meant to kick off, so they had to delay it 15 minutes, and then obviously timing issues, they had to go on at that time, so that I think there was still hundreds of people, if not thousands, left outside that maybe missed out on it. So
missed out on big Tommy Gravison. Big Tommy Gravison.
Great gesture to donate his fee to the Celtic FC Foundation. I nearly said the Celtic FC Appreciation.
Charlie McGrew made it now from Aberdeen.
I didn't see it, to be honest. I'm trying to think where I was actually. I was at a wedding. I was at my cousin's wedding actually. Sunday, so I missed it. No, but
would you went if it wasn't the wedding was on? Would you went?
I've not really listened to the podcast and I don't know how long, so probably no. I probably would have left it out. There's a few of them that really annoy me on it, do you know what I mean? But so I don't know if I would.
I think the lads are good crack. It's sometimes I because it's a lot of Scots talking and they're like, I'm going to watch Still Game instead. I'll do that instead.
It's just some of them just annoy me, but not at the point that I get really angry, but I just don't pay enough attention. I loved when Sai came out and done Sai Ferry Meets, which gave me the inspiration to go and do my one kind of thing. But not as funny as Sai Ferry, obviously, but try my best.
Right, folks, we're gonna go. Thanks very much for watching, folks. If this podcast will stay up and if you find a bit giddy goo, tell the old friends to subscribe to the channel. I'm on the road to 7K. The content's going to be a bit quiet for the next while, so so we'll let Gaz go off there for a second, folks. But I just want to say massive thank you to everyone that's watched tonight. Really, really appreciate it. I hope you all enjoyed it. If there's something that we haven't covered on the podcast that you want us to discuss in the next podcast, put in the comments below. Put in the comments. We like an agenda. At the end of the day, it's all about a bit of banter, bit of a laugh. Look, at the end of the day, if a club across the river doesn't have one of them bad boys, you'll never have one of them bad boys. As Borat says, you never get this. So I'll speak to you all soon. Take care. Hell.